answers? I think I'm entitled.
You want answers.
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
All right, let's get into the running back discussion. You know, you start to see various places come out with their way too early running back rankings.
I love them.
Is that good clickbait for you? As long as you see that, you're like, let's check it out.
Yeah.
I
know I'm going to look at it.
But one of the guys that was interesting, I saw somebody's list. If I remembered who it was, I'd give you a shout out. But Devonta Freeman is our number one running back. It was the number one running back from last year. And he was down at 1920 on this initial list for next year. So let's talk Devonta Freeman.
I think that's a bad decision. I think Devonta Freeman is the starting running back for the Atlanta Falcons.
Super good analysis.
I'm just saying, next year, I am not buying into the Tevin Coleman scare. I'm not buying into the running back by committee. Tevin Coleman was on the team this year, and he had his opportunity to do it. It's not like, next year's going to be totally different because he's not going to get injured one game early on. This was not a running back by committee type of team. On the year, Devonta Freeman had 71% of the snaps. And the last 4 weeks, 87% of the snaps. They went up as the year went on. He is an important, integral part of that offense, and he will be much higher than 19th on this fantasy analyst list next year.
Now, the big piece with him, and he ran, 264 carries, over 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns. But that second number there, 97 targets, 73 receptions, 578 yards, and 3 touchdowns through the air.
97
That's
targets.
The difference, right?
Ride the snake.
That's the difference.
97 targets. That's wide receiver numbers. That's ridiculous for a guy. He ran the ball 264 times. I mean, and what we've been doing with these getting into the truth, we're breaking down their consistency. How often were they giving you a top 5 performance, to like a week winning top 5, just a top 25, very solid, and then how often did they crap your team?
How long
they weren't even a running back 4 for the week. Well, Freeman 5 times won you a week. We know he had that 3-week stretch where he was scoring 3 touchdowns every single week, and it was the greatest thing of all time. On top of that, 12 times in the top 25, but the most important part, when you needed him, 0 times did he crap your team with a below a running back 4. So that's fantastic consistency.
It's because of those passing numbers.
Exactly.
Because no matter the game flow,
the team struggled at times.
Absolutely. The team, the offense that looked great in the very beginning of the year sputtered throughout the rest of it, but he was still fine. Even when he wasn't getting his touchdowns, he was never, ever hurting your team. He's just a very consistent guy with blow-up potential. It's basically like a Lamar Miller type without the bad games, which is what you would, hope that you get out of.
So Mike, how did his when he faced a good defense, bad defense, how did that disparity break down?
So the difference between the top 16 and the bottom 16, really only a couple of points, which is exactly what you want out of a running back. Why I really wanted to point these out is last year, when going through the numbers, I chose to chalk this up to just a maybe it was a fluky thing, but last year, so I guess 2 years ago, Eddie Lacy's splits against a bad defense was monstrous. There was a huge gap of fantasy points when he faced a strong rushing team. When he faced a strong rushing team, he just did not produce fantasy points. And I chose to put that as I think he can improve. And we were shown the truth, so to speak, this year, where Eddie Lacy still continued to struggle against strong defenses. So I think this is an important thing to look at,
especially with running backs. So what are the numbers for Freeman?
They were great. They're just a couple point difference.
Yeah.
So he was consistent against good teams and bad teams.
All right. Number 2 on this list is Adrian Peterson, finishes the number 2 running back this year, 327 carries. So that number is much higher than Devonta Freeman's. Almost 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns again. He really wasn't targeted in the passing game the way that we thought he could be with North Turner. Yeah. And honestly, he won't be. I think that we know that. There's no reason for it. Jarrett McKinnon can catch the ball and do different things with that dynamic speed out of the backfield. However, he was the most consistent running back in football. He had 13 performances in the top 25. He had 4 week winning performances, and then he had 1 week where he did crap your team. But so very close to Freeman. Basically, both were just as consistent. Adrian Peterson, how long can he do this?
Well, he can definitely do it next year. There's no slowing down at the end. And, we've seen when he plays with a chip on his shoulder, with doubters around him, with, some bad publicity, he plays great. When he was coming back off of that injury, I think that was his career high in yards. This year, with all of the suspension from last year, comes out, gets another rushing title. And I think the fact that he fumbled their playoffs away and is getting a lot of bad press up there, I'm hearing him talk differently about how, normally he the fumbling issue. Normally he pushes it off, says, whatever. This time he says, when it comes back to bite you in that way, it's something you got to work on and change. And yeah, how long has it taken you, Adrian Peterson, to realize this?
Sounds like Shaq with free throws.
But, yeah, I don't know that he's going to be able to change that at this point in his career, but he has something still to prove. I don't see how he's not in my top 2 running backs next year.
That was going to be my question for both of you. Would you rather have Adrian Peterson or Devonta Freeman?
Adrian Peterson.
Ooh, man.
Would you rather have Adrian Peterson, Devonta Freeman, or Le'Veon Bell?
That's the question to me is Le'Veon. I would probably, if I'm at the top of a draft, I'm probably going to take Adrian Peterson. And the reason is because he's done it for a career. He's not as injury prone as Le'Veon Bell, which I think deserves that label to some degree at this point.
Yep.
And Devonta Freeman is great, but he's done it 1 year. So I'm going to take Adrian Peterson in the history.
And Adrian Peterson's his split between a great defense and a bottom defense, about 0.1 points. So
It didn't matter who he was playing.
It does not matter for Adrian Peterson, and I love that. He's evaluating his fumble issue. How many years has he played?
Yeah, it's strange. It's just one of those things where you're like, okay, I'm this good, I don't care. And that's unfortunate because it cost them. And it cost them in more than just the playoff game. It cost them in other games. Huge fumble. It's the reckless abandon. I'm going to run this way. I'm going to do this thing. Well, can't you do it better?
Well, it wasn't just the first playoff game. If you go back to the NFC title game, everyone remembers the Brett Favre interception that sealed the game. What you're forgetting is Peterson fumbling on the goal line, having another fumble inside of that game. I mean, there was a disaster of Butterfingers. So it's just hilarious that now is the time for him to evaluate that. It's good stuff.
Right. Hey, it's better than him saying, well, if we would have made a field goal, we would have won.
Oh.
Yeah,
all right.
Exactly.
Let's talk about the third guy on the list this year. Hey, he's Doug Martin.
He's back.
He's Doug Martin, and Dirk Cutter is the head coach now in Tampa Bay. He wants Doug Martin back. There's a long way from here to there where he's back on that roster. But if he's there, you have a consistency in play calling from Dirk Cutter. So that's a good thing for repeating a performance. You also have stability at the quarterback position. You know who's playing quarterback? A guy who had a very, very good rookie year in Jameis Winston. You got good wide receivers that can keep defenses honest, not let them stack against Doug Martin. The question will be how much do they use him? He had 288 carries this year, despite I don't remember the exact number, but his snap percentage was so low compared to the carry numbers that make you think he's on the field all the time.
Yeah, and what will be interesting is his counterpart. He won't be featured in this show, but he's in this list.
Charles Sims.
So
that's amazing.
I mean, you have to imagine the time split will still be in Doug Martin's favor, but Charles Sims had a great year as well. Breaking down Doug Martin versus top defenses versus bottom defenses, it didn't matter for Doug Martin. It's just a couple point difference. And as far as consistency, he was the third best, and which is great because he was the third best running back in fantasy with 12 top 25 performances, 3 top 5, and no craps. No, his pants are clean.
So basically what we see here from the first 3 is these are not anomalous finishers in running back. They're not guys that ended up at the top because they had 3 or 4 humongous games. They were all top 3 consistency guys. So they all need to be in the discussion as one of the top picks at running back next year. in terms of the top, how did he perform against top versus bottom defenses? He actually was better fantasy-wise against top defenses. I don't know if that is because
yes.
I think
targets.
I was going to say it's one of those game flow things. When you're facing better teams, a lot of times when you've got a tool like Doug Martin, you're going to try to run the ball more and slow down the clock, do those type of things. I think Dirk Cutter coming means that Doug Martin will be back, and he wants to use – Dirk Cutter wants Doug Martin. When you promote him –
have to pay him.
Yeah. When you promote him to head coach for his first year and then say, okay, well, we're not going to keep the guy that you really want, I think he will be back. And you have to remember, Doug Martin was a first-round NFL draft pick. He is a very talented running back. The issue with Doug Martin has been health. And that's what you see as the big difference this year, is that he was able to play in all 16 games and play healthy throughout them. That's my fear with him a little bit, is will the smaller body who has an injury history with a big workload on a contract year, now he gets paid, is he going to be as consistent on the field with Sims behind him? He's a little bit scarier to me than the other guys, but he is super talented when he's healthy.
So he's done this to us before with his rookie year.
Yeah, I love the level of consistency he has coming into next year, if he is indeed on the Bucs, which he should be. So number 4 is when you start to get into some different numbers, and I don't think we need to debate him very long. But D'Angelo Williams was a number 4 running back this year. He had over 900 yards rushing. He caught 40 passes. His consistency number was way down. It was 8th, despite finishing 4th in the league. And that was because he had a number of games where
he wasn't playing.
Yeah, he really wasn't playing.
3 games with Le'Veon Bell, 2 carries for 32 yards.
So this is not so much I don't think there's much to discuss with him long-term context, because D'Angelo Williams is the number 1 handcuff, maybe, is what you say, because he's the handcuff of a great player on a great team.
The question is, next year, Le'Veon Bell getting hurt every single year, will they lower that workload where Bell is basically out there for every single snap, getting every single running back touch?
I do not believe so.
Nor I.
You don't think that D'Angelo Williams will be worked in?
No. What we saw this year was,
and Tomlin has said it over and over again that he will not do that.
Yeah, I mean, they had the opportunity to do that this year. It wasn't like this was the first time either. We saw what they're going to do, and I believe they're going to do that next year. They did it with the backup, whoever comes in, with D'Angelo Williams. So that to me is not a worry. If Le'Veon Bell's back,
Williams is a year older. He's a year older next year, and that matters
They have seen now an entire year of D'Angelo Williams getting it done, not just 2 games at the beginning. Or if you know that your backup can get it done, why would you not give him more snaps?
Because that's not how they play.
Tomlin wants the best guy on the field, and if Le'Veon Bell's healthy, D'Angelo Williams might be good, but he's not Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, and he'll be 33 next year. It's a fair point.
The question to me,
I just don't buy into it at all.
The question to me is, do they go out and get another running back this year, because of the age of D'Angelo Williams, or because of the success of D'Angelo Williams? Do they kind of hold pat there and say, we got a great backup? In which case, I agree, he's the number 1 handcuff next year, and I think you're going to be able to get him cheaper than you should just because of his age.
I think he's going to be expensive. If they come into the year that he's the number 2 guy, he's going to be probably an 8th round pick. People will start snatching him up early just because that's like, you remember Niall Davis when he was the guy for a Jamal Charles owner. I mean, people started pushing him up way early.
Yeah, but the difference was Niall Davis wasn't 33.
It's just one of those funny things because first year D-Will leaves. There's no one on earth that thinks D-Will is going to outperform Jonathan Stewart in the lead back role, and here he is, at the top of our list yet again. It's just a comical thing, but he's a handcuff. We all agree.
Yes.
Todd, he is under contract for next year.
I checked on that too. Yeah, he's under contract for 1 more year. Todd Gurley, number 5, the rookie, 13 games, 229, 1106, and 10 touchdowns. Caught a few passes, but not a ton. He was 7th in consistency.
That's still good.
Very good, considering he didn't have the opportunity in the early part of the season to do it. He was somebody who definitely preyed upon bad defenses. His numbers were much higher against defenses that they could run on, and that makes perfect sense because the offense couldn't pass the ball. So it was one of those things where they could get stacked against the run in games where they knew that they weren't going to be able to pass.
Yeah, I agree. Moving forward in the next year, I mean, you have to like Gurley. He's immensely talented when
another top
when you watch him.
number one guy consideration.
But when you start breaking things down, you like running backs. You like talented, good running backs who are on good teams. And the Rams are an okay team until they can address their quarterback position. I mean, Case Keenum. As of now, Case Keenum is the starting quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams moving into next year, and that's not going to put a lot of confidence in me to spend, say, a first-round pick on Todd Gurley.
Really?
Yeah. Depending on where you are, but there's these other guys. Let's say you got Freeman. We're just speaking of running backs, but Freeman, Peterson, Martin, Le'Veon Bell, Todd Gurley. Where is he? Who is he? Where are you ordering those guys?
Any sort of keeper league, Gurley is.
I'm not talking about keeper.
Yeah, I think Gurley is in my consideration for number 2.
I'd personally, from that argument, in a redraft league, I'd put him 4th on that list.
But he's a first-round pick for me. I thought that was pretty bold to say Gurley's not a first-round pick.
I'm saying
I can get behind that from the standpoint of, when we looked coming into this past year, we did the research of, okay, top running backs. How many of them are on – it was like 8 out of the top 10 were on winning teams. And so I do think that Todd Gurley is going to have a great year, but you're going to have those games where, he could get game flowed out. I mean, you see a pretty big discrepancy between – his top 16 and bottom 16 scoring. I mean, 12.6 game points per game versus 18.6.
I mean, you're talking.
It's hard because the 3 of the top 6 guys on this list are on crappy teams. I mean, Devonta Freeman's on a bad team. Doug Martin's on a bad team. Lamar Miller's on a bad team. None of them have the potential to be what Gurley would be. When you buy into a guy, I'm buying into the talent and that opportunity, and I can't imagine St. Louis's passing game being worse. Maybe that's my naivety.
No, it can't be worse. Sure, the difference of averaging 20 yards and half a touchdown more against bottom defenses has concern for me. That's all I'm saying. People are going to draft him in the first round. Just for me, if I'm staring down certain running back options and in the first round, I don't know if I'm going to go with Gurley.
Yeah, that's fair. Gurley or Devonta Freeman for you guys?
I would,
because it's easily
Freeman.
Gurley for me.
I would take Freeman.
Freeman for you. What about you?
It would be Freeman in a redraft.
Okay.